Okay, before I get started with this video, I want to make sure it's stated early. Without a doubt, I would rather be outside in the -degree weather with the high wind velocity, butt naked, than play any of these records ever again. Not lying, no lie. Chancho, would I lie?
I don't give a shit.
What is up, my people? Welcome back to the channel. I'm your boy Naseem the Dream, and yes, we are continuing on with the annual NTD Awards, and this is not gonna be that pleasant of a video because I will be listing my top 10 worst albums of 2022. Now, if you're new to the channel, I really appreciate it. If you go ahead and give a like to the video and subscribe for more content to support the channel, much appreciated. And yeah, let's just get started with the list. Number 10, I'm gonna have to give the number 10 spot to the Chainsmokers' newest record, So Far, So Good. Now, I will admit, man, this is a very sad thing for me to admit, for me to having to put a group that I was so beloved to, especially when they first debuted. Sure, say what you want about the group, I get it. They didn't even really start off with that much of a tasteful factor with their song Selfie, but they themselves don't even like that song anymore. They literally just rip on it all the time. But I would definitely argue that after that, the group has been able to put out a lot of great quality in terms of EDM pop songs. There's a lot of songs that I can really name off my mind that I've been really loving ever since that factor, like New York City, Roses, one of their most popular songs. I love that song so much, Inside Out. And then Closer, which is probably their number one hit. But then after a certain point, when Drew started singing a little bit more on the Chainsmokers content, it started to be the main focus into the group's direction into how they want to create songs, and less more bringing other vocalists onto their music. I think that was probably the biggest factor into the Chainsmokers' downfall from there, and ever since, man, it's just been bad. If we're gonna just even talk about this record, he literally sang on every single song, but in terms of like the songwriting material, it's just so cheeky that it's ever been. And some of the production on here is obviously really messy. There's just some points where it just really doesn't really blend in well, and there's some of the ideas where they kind of feel like they're trying to go back to their roots, but it just does not work, man. But there's just such an abuse of autotune for Drew's voice where it literally becomes mind-numbing at a certain point. And not to mention there's a lot of moments on these songs where they just make some terrible sampling choices on here. There's just so many moments on these songs where the fuses just don't work for me personally. And in terms of pop aesthetic, sure, it is pop, but man, they are so inserted into the industry now, and I get it, it's because of like how big they are, and I'm really happy for the group. I'm glad that they have this much mainstream audience and just overall attention to them when it comes to radio plays, to headliner events, and so on. I'm really happy for the group for where they came from. But man, in terms of this progression and direction of where they really wanted to go into with their music, I'm not all for it, and this record is just bad. Alright, the number 9 spot, I'm gonna give it to Gunna's DS Forever. This album is so cringe with the lyricism. There's so many moments on here I wanted to laugh, but I was just uncomfortable. Like, the man is constantly talking about his fucking dick, man. I know it's hypocritical because, sure, a lot of hip-hop artists nowadays, mainly into this scheme of the trap music, sure, a lot of them talk about sex, and a lot of them talk about the same typical things that they talk about in trap music, and some of it I happen to enjoy, even though, like, you know, some of the lyricism is just kind of throwaway. It's kind of just background noise at that point. But sound aesthetically, sure, it's there for me. All across the board from here, I have zero interest into what he's going on with and saying. Not to mention, there's nowhere near enough support from the beats and production on here to really keep me engaged with this album. I truly thought that when this album came out, this would debatably be one of the worst hip-hop albums of the year. And reaching this point of the year, yeah, it's one of the worst. If you like that typical Gunna flow and sound that I get has to his signature, sure, I understand why you like this album, I think. But dude, if you just keep going off with the same techniques over and over and over and over and over and over and over. I'm gonna be so bored. This album is nearly an hour. I don't get the appeal, man. The features do nothing for me. There's points where these beats are just simply garbage. They're just so distasteful and uncreative and lazy. It's just DS4 ever. Number 9 spot, GUNNA. This is not good. With now the number 8 spot, and I will be giving that to Nav's Demons Protected by Angels. If you're familiar with Nav, I'm sure you already know how a record from Nav is gonna sound. Nasally, congested, no personality into the voice, no creativity into expressing himself, or, you know, just really showing animation into his performance. That's what you're always gonna get with Nav. That's why he's literally one of the worst rated hip-hop artists in the game right now. I've been hearing arguments that Nav tries to get deep into, you know, his like self-reflections and to like try to show some like vulnerability into this album. That's just not here. Say whatever you want, point out whatever stanza you can find. I just don't necessarily believe in what he's saying when it comes to how he's expressing this. This is just an absolute epic earsore. This is a collection of rap songs that really go on to try to be encompassing the listener into the world of Nav that I just don't want to be in. And the mixes, they felt so linear and flat. Sometimes the vocals sounded way too much on top of there, where it's like, I just strictly hear the auto-tune. I couldn't find a single ounce of dynamic into these songs, and this is a guaranteed never play again from me. If any of these picks triggered you, just wait. This one's a screamer. Number 7. That is going to Drake's Honestly Nevermind. Listen, okay, I adore versatility into artists. I really like it when they try to step into new realms of song creativity and just music making and, you know, take risks. If this is what you call a risk, like, what does it mean to you if someone is stepping into a different zone and that gives them so many different points onto your listening experience? It's like, man, they tried something new and I love them for that, but what about the context? And I mostly hear this opinion from people who never even really listen to techno or house music. Have you guys even heard of Frankie Knuckles? Let me just do you a solid. Let me give you some records to help you understand where I'm coming from. Try out Aphex Twin's Ambient Works 8592. It's Leah's most popular record out. Orbital and Sides. Any Against All Logic project. And if that's a little bit too indie for you, okay, let me give you a little bit something more modern. Okay, how about some Cascade? Or even some Deadmau5. Disclosure. How about Daft Punk? Or even something more up your alley if you like Drake. Beyonce, come on!
What the hell is wrong with you?
Why are we validating an album like this that has zero affection and care of wanting to actually think about an approach to making an album? This dude went into the studio, literally one of the most hype and most played, most popular, and debatably, one of the most dominant artists in all of existence goes into the studio, has so many tools to make something so explosive, so creative, and so possibly groundbreaking for his discography, and goes in with this. You cannot tell me that there's no articulate creativity and affection into Drake singing or rapping on here. There's none of that on here. The man sounds bored the entire playthrough. There wasn't a single song I thought on here that I've heard so many people say, oh, they like this song. Oh, try this song. It's just background noise. It's all background noise. And on top of that, you add Jimmy Cooks as the last track on here that doesn't even need to be here. And yes, this is a song I do enjoy, but the point is, this single shouldn't even be here. This is not great house music. This is not great techno. This does no service to the genre. It's absolute trash. Worst from Drake yet. All right, then next, we're gonna go with the number 6 spot. And that will be given to Muse, Will of the People. I didn't exactly expect quite that much from this record. I mean, if we keep becoming Muse... Exactly. This rock metal electronic piece is the hottest garbage to come out for most rock music this year. It's absolutely terrible. The combinations of these elements just don't make any sense, and they're just plain. What is less than tasteless? What does that taste like? I think that tastes like this. The singing is just flat out annoying, and the attempts of like some like hard rock moments into these like breakdowns and then transition into like certain fake outs, they're pretty embarrassing. Conceptually, this is just a head-throbbing experience. It's absolutely terrible way of getting your point across. While I'm playing this, at the same time, especially when I'm telling you about these records that I play, I'm currently contemplating if I want to continue on with this channel or not. But the show must go on. This album has zero consistency, has zero cohesion. The variance is like the same level as like a Corey Feldman record. Have you ever played a Corey Feldman record? Playing a Corey Feldman record is like reaching the rock bottom when you like get fired from your job, lose your girlfriend or your boyfriend, you know, start smoking Newport Reds, which is a low, and you're like okay with it. That's how I imagine that. And it's not good. Number 5, it's gonna go to KORN's Requiem. KORN, kind of overrated, even in the early days. I've really only cared for one record, Follow the Leader, which has probably some of the most domain and profound songwriting from Jonathan Davis. And just talking about Jonathan Davis, yes, he is a very acclaimed metal vocalist for a reason. The guy is really good. This is 32 minutes, 9 songs, that I really couldn't grasp any depth at all. It almost just sounded like a total prog of one song, of the same song in these 32 minutes. I swear there is no variance or anything differentiating into these songs at all. It's like you're playing the same exact thing over and over again. It's like the straight gray line, and it's like you're just staring at this gray line. Like you're just like, almost like you're not listening to the music. Like when you're playing your music, you see when it's about to start and you see the time going down, right? It's like you're just looking at the time going. That's all you're doing. You might as well watch paint dry. Number 4, MGK's Mainstream Sellout. If you've seen my review on this, but it wasn't obvious, I thought it was so bad that I literally just thought about, hey, instead of just shitting on this album, why don't I just make a meme video? Today, I will be reviewing the new Machine Gun Kelly record, Mainstream Sellout. This shit sucks. But if I'm gonna tell you why I really dislike this album, I can see the reasons why you like Tickets to My Downfall. This follow-up to that same exact step up to pop punk, it's unbearably bad. It's a mockery to rock music. It's a mockery to emo style aesthetics in terms of songwriting. Does this man literally think that all emo writers into like the genre and style just rap about and sing about like losing their girlfriends and like wanting to die? Is that all you hear? You can't get any more basic into song creativity and display than this record. Like it's in my opinion a total infuriating mockery to pop punk, especially knowing some of the man's persona put out there on social media. Now, I'm not gonna claim I know somebody just because of some videos and certain things, right? But a lot of this shit adds up. I can easily assume this guy's a douchebag. A band's off the top of my head that I feel like really reached the terms of agony of what they're really trying to, you know, really feel and like relate to the audience, such as like great bands like Pierce the Veil, Bring Me the Horizon, My Chemical Romance, Panic at the Disco, Paramore. Is all you hear from these artists' music is, oh, my girlfriend broke up with me, I'm sad, I'm gonna smoke a cig. If so, fuck you, bro. Number 3 is gonna go to Tom McDonald and Adam Calhoun's The Brave. One statement will already explain my thoughts and opinions on this record. This album made me go back to that Tech 9 song, Face Off. You know, that song with that very terrible Dwayne The Rock Johnson verse. I love rock, but it's bad. Made me go back to that track, right? And it made me think, huh, it's actually kind of decent. But this album tries to really get something going by saying something that's already been said by so many reporters and newscasts that just have these like red pill far right opinions, and that is not the main reason of why I dislike this record, okay? If it was far left and was being really annoying with its point of views as well, I would also hate it probably just as much. But the thing is that in combination with the fuses of country rap of what these guys have in the chamber, in combination of the shit that they're just shoving in your face over and over, is just cringe, dude. It's not a good look. It's also very cringy when your first song is about enjoying being a like country southern white boy, which again, I love that for you, okay? Listen, I think it's kind of ridiculous to not like your roots necessarily, like your like, you know, your background of like culturally. That's kind of ridiculous. Even if you are a white person, you can like where you come back from, you know what I mean? To a certain extent. This is attaining to the group that like, you know, like has like NRA stickers on the back of their, you know, Chevy Silverado, and, you know, like giant Punisher stickers on the front, flags sticking on the sides, love guns, and just, you know, would like guns up their ass sometimes, and just, it's for those people. This album smells like beer and fucking Copenhagen wintergreen. I can't say enough about how bad this record is, man. It's just like one of those things that's like, it says a lot about the listener. Like, I hate to say that, man. It sounds so stereotypical, but it's, when you hear this, man, you know who's playing this shit. Number 2 is gonna go to Kid Rock's Bad Reputation. Now this... This album, man. This man thinks he's doing something. This man really think, man. Oh, man. Listen. Play like the first 30 seconds off the first song. That's the album. Alright. I think I've said enough about that shit. Now off to the number 1. What was worse than all of this caca, poo-poo, doo-doo, diarrhea mix garbage of a list? I'll tell you what the number 1 was. The number 1 spot is gonna go to Kodiak Reds Trendsetters. Now, in case you're unfamiliar, which I hope you are, but now you're not, I'm sorry. This is one of the so-called island boys. This man thought he could actually do something crazy and come out with a rap record like this. Nearly 1 hour set of tracks that, you know, something like this can actually be like pretty amusing, you know what I mean? Like, especially when it's displayed as a joke. It can actually, you know, like humor me, no matter how bad the song actually is, you know, how bad the artist actually is, you know. If it's displayed clearly as a joke, and, you know, there's moments in here that are actually funny, that actually make me laugh, you know, there's parts of it that can entertain me in a sort of way. That's something. This album is so serious. I've heard plenty of bad rappers try to sing on a song. This just shouldn't happen. This is a kind of project that just should not be out on the internet. Diabolical of what fusion this man has driven into this 1 hour diabolical, horrendous, despicable, and absolute waste of time type of hip-hop music. What is this doing? What is this for? I thought about it. I could literally be on all these substances, right, that these guys sound like they're on. Heroin, Xans, weed, Molly, Flintstones gummies, Doritos Locos Tacos. I could be on all of that at the same time and play this, and it would still be bad. It's almost like you have to actually attempt at making something so bad, but if you play this, it sounds like it was accidental. Nah, I actually cut off all my toes and play this shit again. This was absolute trash. And yeah, that was my top 10 list of the most doo-doo albums of 2022. Yeah. Subscribe. Deuce.
I wanna kill my mom. I wanna kill my dad. I wanna kill my